So what is the EU SME Center?
So the EU SME Center is a center which is commissioned and fueled by the European Union to help and prepare the SMEs from Europe to come to China. And they provide them a lot of information and advice, trainings, and these things which you are going to look at now. And the center is existing here in Beijing since 2010 and has been helping SMEs ever since. It's a project fueled by the European Union in 2010 to help European small medium enterprises to get ready to do business here in China, and it's implemented by 6 chambers of commerce.
Yeah, and it's based in Beijing.
So it has a strong context and expertise, and has done over 140 comprehensive market reports, which you can download on the website.
And make sure you check them out. Like, you will find something useful, relevant to your businesses.
There is guidelines and case studies and so on and so forth as well.
Yeah.
There is a database which you have to look at as well. There is a lot of answers, questions, and it's basically everything you need to try to enter the market here in China. It's a very helpful resource.
So before you enter China, or when you're in China, you can also check out like the EU SME Center for more support. I'm Chris. I'm originally from Hong Kong, so I'm ethnically Chinese. I speak Chinese. I spent some years in London previously, studying and working, and I graduated in School of Economics. So upon graduation, I came to Beijing because everyone was talking about China and how great it is. And so because I speak fluent Mandarin, so I thought, okay, why not come to Beijing? And I was really passionate about digital marketing as well. So how people use WeChat, Weibo, I'm just fascinated about this.
Yeah.
So came here, I've been working for quite a while and with different kinds of clients, some big firms and some small firms. So like Daimler, but at the same time, like have been doing some small projects with Beyond on SMEs. Yeah, so this is my background.
So cool.
What about you, Bjorn?
So, my name is Björn, and I came to China for that's be like 7, 8, 9 years ago.
Oh.
But I've been a bit back and forth between Europe and China and US. And I set up a company for some years ago, helping these European companies coming to China, helping them understand the Chinese culture, Chinese market, the Chinese customers, and how to do business here in China. But we're also helping the Chinese coming to Europe, so the other way around. So it's very much bridging the cultural gap in between this. I'm an industrial designer, so it's very much about creating and getting things done. So, and this is why we also met, helping out these bigger and smaller companies here.
Yeah.
So we would like to show you a bit more about what we have learned and how we understand the digital marketing here in China. So we start off with what is digital marketing?
I think it's marketing based on like digital devices through internet. So I think at the core of it is still marketing, is still about addressing like the needs of consumers, but it's just done in very creative ways on mobile, on laptops, in a variety of forms. That's my opinion. What about you?
Yeah, digital marketing is still marketing, that's for sure. And as marketing is much about the market, your products and the services and your brand as well. I think it's not only about the marketing part or the machines, but it's very much about the humans and how the humans are thinking, how they are acting, and how they're sort of reacting on the things you put in the market. And that's sort of, for me at least, where things get really exciting.
Yeah, and I'm sure that like you're watching this and you have some experience in digital marketing already in Europe, probably with Facebook, with Google, with YouTube. But China is a very different and unique digital landscape. So we have to understand that, and that's why you're watching this.
So let's look at the digital trends. And I remember the first time I came to China, you sort of get a bit annoyed because the things you used to know doesn't really work, or it's different. And one thing which really struck me is the use of the cell phones or the smartphones. And we have looked into that, and it's definitely a mobile-first country. The transition has happened. Everything is on the phone, which makes it very important for you as a marketer, because you need to look into how do you present your brand, how do you present your products. They had to work on a smartphone device, which means you need to look into the responsive websites and all this kind of thing.
Yeah, you'll be quite surprised to find that actually the older population is very good at using a mobile phone, taking pictures, sending messages. So it's very unlike Europe that you may need to spend some time to teach your parents to do that. Here, they're even better than you are in using mobile phones. And just to give you more statistics, China has 731 million internet users now, and over 95% uses smartphones to go online. So it's 600 million. It's way larger than the European population.
Yes. And because they are using the smartphones, there's a lot of things which sort of come with that. They are always connected. They are always reachable. And you can also look at where they are and to understand sort of what are they doing sort of in a context. So the smartphone gives us opportunities for the marketers when it comes to, for example, geolocations or push messages and stuff. So I think this is very important. As the first thing, which is very important, there's more of them.
Yeah.
The second thing I think, which is quite interesting, is the way people actually shop. And we have seen throughout the years a huge e-commerce boom in China. There is many of these platforms which are offering products to a very competitive price. But there also a way of the delivery which is quite different than the European way. No, Amazon is sort of catching up and delivering quite fast, but you have these Kuaitis which are delivering within hours.
Yeah, within 1 day for free, you can get your products. And the Singles Day is coming up. Maybe you've read about it. Basically, it's a huge e-commerce festival online. And Alibaba last year in 2016, I think they had 2.3 billion euros of revenues.
In 1 day?
In 1 day.
That's cool.
And that is just crazy. So if you utilize this opportunity really well, that's your goal to China.
And I think just looking into this number, they are quite staggering. For you as an SME, I think what you need to look into is sort of how to use this. You can do that through a local resale partner. You can sell through a Woofy, sort of set up your own company here in China, or you can do the export direct from Europe. So this is sort of a different kind of strategies to reach out to this quite booming market.
Yeah, and EU SME Center has other more specialized reports on these areas, so you can understand the legal procedures and how you can do this.
And also in terms of the social network, in the West we have Facebook, we have Twitter and so on. In China there's different ways to sort of socialize on the internet, and this is we're gonna go deeper into this in the second part, but look into sort of where to reach your target audience, because this is quite different than in Europe.
Yeah, and you have a graph here in the presentation, and in the middle, you can see the apps that we would use in the West, like WhatsApp, Google, Instagram, Snapchat. But in China, you can see in the outer ring, it's very different. So, for instance, here we use WeChat. WhatsApp has recently been blocked in China.
Yes.
So everyone uses WeChat. You must have heard about it. And in terms of Twitter, we use Weibo. So you have to tailor your digital marketing campaigns to the Chinese digital landscape.
Yes.
You just can't copy everything from Facebook and assume that it will work in China.
Yeah, and also the way it is communicated on these platforms. They have some unique traits which you have to look into. And we're going to talk more about this later.
Yeah.
In each and every one of them. And I think one of the things which it wasn't there when I came into China for like stable for 3 years ago, but then it's like totally boomed in the last couple of years, and that's the online payment, and especially in terms of online mobile payment. And we have a graph here where you can look how things how things are paid.
Yeah, and literally everyone here uses mobile pay through WeChat or like Alipay. So these two are the main ways that people use to pay now. I don't carry cash anymore.
Yeah. No, that's being in Germany. If you don't have cash, you're lost.
Yeah, but here,
here is different. If you don't have battery on your phone, you're lost.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's basically payment on mobile. There is some, of course, cash payment, more sort of in the tier 2, 3, 4 cities.
Yeah.
But if you look into the modern part of China, there is payment per phone, which is really cool.
Just imagine that in a farmer's market on Sundays.
Yes.
Every farmer's store, like you can find a QR code, or you can just pay using that.
Yes.
And you no longer need to worry about change or not having enough cash and taking time in cash transactions. No.
I even saw a homeless guy with a QR code.
Oh yeah, I read that. That is so interesting.
So yeah, check the way to get paid. I think for all people do business, I think this is a quite crucial part.
Yeah.
And the way it's often done is use of QR codes. And I know we had this discussion many times in Europe, use of QR codes and how sort of not modern QR codes are. But here in China, it's very different.
Yeah. I came into the office this morning using like a bike sharing platform. So basically how it works is that this is QR code on the bike. I just scan it in 1 second. I unlock the bike so I can ride it for a while and then just drop it like wherever I want. So maybe you have seen all these like bike systems in Paris, in London. You still need to pay, you need to enter all these passcodes, wasting your time. But here, QR codes save you a lot of time.
I open the entry to the office every morning with a QR code. So you scan the QR code on the door and the door goes open because this is connected to my WeChat account. So not only do you sort of share information or contact cards with the QR code, you pay with them. The QR codes, you sort of verify your identity with this, you open locks and doors and all these kind of things.
In vending machines as well.
Yeah. You see them basically everywhere, and they become sort of very integrated part of the society now these days. And being an SME coming to China, I think you need to look into, can you use QR codes in your marketing campaigns? Can you use QR codes in sort of way to get paid? These are the things which are quite interesting, and you should sort of try to find a way to do that.
For instance, people would put QR codes in the web pages, so that once people scan it, it can direct them to the relevant page instead of them like spending time to look through like all these different links.
I heard it's also a bit due to the way the Chinese language is written on a keyboard. Sometimes it's much faster to just scan a QR code than to type in a long email address or to type in a long web address. So it sort of saves times, and it's basically convenience is king. Also in Europe, I guess, but here especially. So it sort of boils down to sort of the uniqueness of the Chinese market, and of course they have different kind of things when it comes to the channels and devices and technologies, but they also have a different society.
Yeah, very, very different.
So can you know China in much more personal way than I do. if you run us through China in very few sentences, how you would like to describe China and the Chinese development now?
Wow, it's fast, super fast, super fast. I think there's a saying that 1 year in China, development in 1 year in China equals to 7 years elsewhere.
Yes.
So you can see like how rapid the pace is, and of course like the income here is going like
Yes.
really quickly. So when you look at this figures about like the urban households in China, so it's expected to grow to over 300 million in the cities.
Yes.
And there's definitely like the way China is going, like being more urbanized as a whole.
Yes.
And although people talk about like a slowing of growth in China, but it will definitely go up.
And when you look to China, it's 1.4 billion people, and it's a bit bigger than Europe. It's a bit bigger than US. It's bigger than Europe and the US together, right?
Yeah, in terms of population.
If you take a look at this chart, you have 1.4 billion people in different cities and different areas around in China. And I think for the marketers where this is interesting is that these 1.4 billion people are all different. So if you go to the East Coast, sorry, if you go to the East Coast of China, that's sort of very different than the western part of China.
Yeah, definitely. I think one reason why I love Beijing so much is I get to meet people from different provinces. And I think it somehow resembles my experience in London. So I got to meet like people from everywhere in Europe.
Yes.
I think here, every province or even every city, like people from different places, they are just like this very different and distinguished culture.
Yes.
That you need to spend some time to understand like where you want to go, like which city or which region you want to tackle, because they all have very different needs, different cultures, different languages. Yeah.
And of course, there's a huge shift in demographics. People get older as in the rest of the world. But due to this, they had this one-child population, which is now two-child per.
Yeah. So it's no longer one-child policy now. I think last year or the year before they scrapped it. So actually, you can expect like another baby boom very soon, and also because of like an aging population.
Yes.
China in general, and population has a higher demand on healthcare, on like different kinds of tertiary goods.
So basically, if you're into baby food or baby wear or diapers, that's a good thing. Or if you're into everything for old people, it's very good. And if you're into growing middle class, it's also very good. So there is a huge market, and it's changing, and it's really exciting. But there's also a very competitive market, so it's not straightforward.
So you have to identify your niche.
Yes.
And be very specific.
Yes.
And be very targeted, and only in this way you can reach your audience.
Yes.
Don't expect that you can just put on this digital marketing campaign, and then everyone in China will read about it. It's not the case.
Yeah. And the same if you look into the urban household here. There is a huge upper middle class which are growing very, very fast.
I think I remember like from my head that China has now like almost 300 million middle class.
Yes.
There's like the population of the US, the whole United States.
Yes.
And so imagine what it would look like in 5 years or 10 years time.
So and this is where it becomes really interesting, because you need to find those people. You most likely not going to have 300 million customers tomorrow. So the way to find these customers in that jungle of people, you need to be a bit structurized and have a good approach towards that. So we're gonna run through some insight in the modern Chinese consumer. And in the next part, we're going to run into how to really get to them. So the first thing is sort of, yes, you need to understand your target audience. And to do that, you need to do some research. There's some background research, but you need to do a segmentation, and you need to do some kind of target audiences or target groups to understand sort of how do you reach the people you would like to reach, to which kind of channels, digital channels, in which kind of matter and means. And just like an example here, the modern urban middle class, we did this for another SME for a couple of months ago, and we found that sort of the modern urban middle class, they are very confident about the future, and I think the most people you talk with have this feeling, the Chinese people at least. They are very digital. and this we see also in the statistics when it comes to the use of mobiles, use of these kind of channels and so on. And they're really embracing these new trends. Still they have sort of the understanding of the life quality, trying to sort of value their family and value sort of what is good. They look into like cooking. There's like a lot of people try to cook healthy. We saw. So there's different kind of aspects when it comes to the life quality part. And of course, China's quite often or a long time been very family focused, which is a bit different than Europe. When Europe is talking about family focus, it's different than the Chinese way of doing family focus. So this having a happy family is also becoming some kind of a measure for success. It's like a status symbol to be a happy family.
Yeah. So building on what Bjorn just talked about, life quality, like about like a rising living standard in China, I think European products and services generally have a very good perception here. People think that products and services from Europe, they generally have better quality.
Yes.
So that is like one big advantage that you can consider when you design your marketing campaigns, because you can emphasize on that area that you have a very strict very strict procedure to ensure safety of the products, or like you emphasize all these ethical standards that will be very attractive to Chinese customers.
We have seen quite a lot of SMEs which have, and not only SMEs but also bigger clients which have failed coming to China because they haven't understood the Chinese market.
So don't just Google like middle class consumers in China. It will give you very different results when you do your search in Chinese with Baidu.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, that's true. That's true. The Chinese, to get to the Chinese information, you need to have Chinese looking for the information quite often. But they also have to have the understanding of sort of how to emphasize on the Western values here in China. Because what you say, sort of the modern family looking for quality products, it's becoming more and more relevant for these people. And we're not going to look too much into this. There is a very good report at the EU SME Center where you can look better into this, also called Digital Marketing Essentials. But the consumer psychology during the purchasing process, because when Chinese people buy, there's a set of happenings happening in their brain throughout the process, and a good marketer understands sort of how to play on the strings which need to be played on to convince the customer to actually buy the product he or she should buy, of course said from the brand itself, right?
Yeah.
So in the very beginning, the people don't know your brand. You need to create awareness about the brand, create attention about the brand.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different kind of digital marketing ways you can do that. We're going to look into these in the second part. When the customer is actually getting interested in this product, they are looking for more information about that product. So this is where they start searching. They go to Baidu. They don't go to Google. They try to find more information about that through sort of other people who have bought the product before, like reviews.
Yeah, they really look at reviews.
Yes. Who do you trust? So I trust my mother when I'm buying the washing machine. I don't trust the commercial,
Yeah.
And the same is it here as well. When you're looking for information, who do you trust? And reviews is super important in China.
Yeah. And in most of the e-commerce platforms, for a lot of the products, actually people would post pictures about what they buy. So let's say, Bjorn, I want to buy like baby food from you, from your Norwegian firm. So I'll look at other Chinese people comments on Bjorn's product. Maybe they will say, oh, this baby food is great, or this baby food is awesome, my baby likes it a lot, or this is bad. And make sure that you set up like a very good review system, and make sure you get a variety of opinions. Because Chinese people are getting smarter and smarter now.
Yes.
If you are just paying people to write reviews for you, like fake reviews, it's not going to work.
Yes. And then of course people are going to, when they have read the reviews and so on, they think it's a good thing, they evaluate it, look into more, and then there's a point of sale. And very much here in China is an online sale, it's JD, the Tmall, and many of these. And sometimes there's also an offline sales, like in stores. So the point of sale is important. The final purchase, look into the payment solution. We are also seeing quite a lot of where things go wrong in the very last second. When you have decided on the product, you're ready to pay, and then the payment solution doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's a lost customer, you know.
And Chinese consumers are not patient at all.
No, they're not patient.
If they think that, oh, you don't really have Alipay and WeChat Pay, or I have to enter like all these card details, they are not going to buy your products. They'll just switch to a substitute.
Exactly.
So make sure you make it as easy as possible to your customers.
And then during the usage, of course, you have to have a good product, but you can also follow up and try to understand better of the usage of that product. And then the final goal, so to say, is to make sure that they are getting loyal. Repurchase, maybe you can do campaigns to sort of do the repurchase, make sure that these people who are buying into your products are becoming loyal customers.
Yeah, don't just assume that you can sell a product and you're done. Chinese consumers are getting more aware of the whole return and exchange procedures. So make sure that you spend some time on customer service afterwards. Not just assume that, okay, you deliver the product and it's done.
Yes. So this hopefully give you a sort of overview of the customers and the market. Now you are European and you would like to come to China. You need to do some localization and brand adaptation, right? Do you have like some ideas what has to be done?
You need to have a Chinese name.
Yes, you need to have a Chinese name.
So even the big brands like McDonald's, KFC, or Nike, Adidas, they all have Chinese names.
Yes.
And when people talk about these brands, they use Chinese to talk about. So it's like Adidas, they say in Adidas, they don't say Adidas.
Yes.
So make sure you have a Chinese name, a really good Chinese name.
And then you may need some design adaptation as well. There is the color red is a different meaning than the color red in Europe. So these kind of things have some aspects which you need to look into. And of course, marketing adaptations, not only translation of the content, like in text, but also translation of the meaning sometimes. Yeah. Like if you're talking about trans fat, for instance, being like a bad or a good thing, in China it doesn't really mean anything because that's not anything which is talked about. But there is other qualities which has to be talked about. So you have to look into what kind of aspects are resonating amongst your target group.
Yeah.
And try to find out that. And that's exactly what we're going to look into in the part 2.
Exactly.
So thank you for this time, and we join back in the part 2.
Yep. Thank you for watching.